welcome back to Introduction to Physics Labs. My name is Paul Eric, and today we want to do Lab 3.3a, which is entitled Reflection and Refraction. And part one of this lab is we're going to look at plane reflection, so a flat mirror. And so in this picture here, you have the mirror is horizontal, and then you have a wave that's coming in. Now this could be a light wave, it could be like ripples, so it could be water waves that are coming in to this thing, and then it's going to bounce off. So both mechanical and light waves can be reflected, but we're only going to be doing light waves today. And then it's going to bounce off and it's going to go in this direction. Okay, now in order to figure out the angle that this wave is making, we need to make a normal to the mirror. And the normal is going to be perpendicular. So we draw a normal to the mirror, okay, and then that defines this angle right here. So this is going to be the angle that the wave is going into the mirror. And then you also have this angle over here, and then this is going to be the angle that the light or wave comes out of the mirror. And there's a very simple relationship between the two angles, and they're equal. So we're going to say that the angle that light goes into a mirror is equal to the angle that the light comes out of the mirror. So it's not much of an equation, but we could write it as such. So we want to investigate this, and we're going to go to the internet, find O-physics image formation in a plane mirror. And then, so it's important that you open this up and have it in front of you, because then you could be filling in the lab as I'm talking about it. Okay, so I've already done it for you, and here it is. Now, make sure that everything is clicked off. So click off all of these boxes. And what our goal is to figure out where would this object be, the image of this object in this mirror. So this line represents a mirror. Okay, this could represent you. So you could be standing in front of a mirror, and the goal is to figure out where would your image be located at. So first we're going to click on our grid system. Okay, then the next thing is we're going to show some lines coming out of the object. So this represents some light that is traveling over here to the mirror, and here's some light that's traveling from the tip to here. Now there's actually an infinite number of lines. So there's an infinite number of lines coming out of the tip here, and they're going all over the place. Some of the lines are even going in this direction. Okay, there's lines, an infinite number of lines down here that are going, some of those lines are going in this direction, and then some are going in this direction. You also have an infinite number of lines that are emanating from this part down here. It's just that we don't care about them. So I'm only interested in this line right here. Okay, and then we can ignore all of these other lines. So if this is light and it's going to be hitting the mirror, what direction would it bounce? Okay, now we're going to use this formula here. The angle going in has to equal the angle going out. But before we can do that, we need a, begins with an N, ends with an normal, put it together, a normal. So we're going to click on this box, and there in orange are the normals for each of these blue lines. And again, we only are concerned about this one up here. All right, now here's the part that you have to do. So you're going to make a snip of this picture, and then you're going to draw the reflected line as best you can. So let's try this. So we're going to click on down here, and we're going to type in the word snip so that we get our snipping tool out. And then we're going to make a new picture. So we're going to click on new. Okay, and now I don't need to make a snip of this entire thing. You can if you want, but I think I'm just going to make a smaller picture here. So right there. So there is my snip. Okay, now I'm going to take that snip and I need to insert it into Microsoft Paint so that you can draw on it. So again, we're going to go back to, let me put this away. Okay, I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to click on it, but this time I'm going to type in the word paint, P-A-I-N-T, and click on that. Okay, and then I'm going to do a Control V. So Control and then V on my computer, and then there is my snip. Okay, now what we want to do though is we want to, or you have to make a reflected line off the mirror. So if we go to up here, you see this one? So I'm going to click on that. That's my line. Okay, and then I can make a line with it. Okay, now if I want to get rid of that, then I go over to here and I'm going to just draw a box around this, and then I can delete it. So cut it, get rid of it. Alright, so it's now up to you. So you've got in your picture, the mirror is up and down, you've got the normal, and you've got the line that's coming in like this. So how would you draw the reflected line? Where should it go? And in other words, should I do one like this? I hope that you're not going to do that. Oh. Okay, going back. So you couldn't see any of that. Sorry about that. So here's the mirror. Here's the line going in. Okay, here's the line going out. But that's not a very good picture. Okay, what we want is this angle to equal that angle. So a better picture would be something more like this, so that this angle is the same as that angle there. So what I want you to do is, now let's go back to paint. Things are so frustrating. Going back to paint. Okay, we got our, now we gotta go and gotta click on this again, because I got it set for cutting things. We don't want to cut something, we actually want to make the line. So I'm going to click on this, and you can also make them different colors. So like for example, if this is blue, then let's have a reflected one that's blue. So I'm going to click on my color up here. Okay, so now I can make a colored line, and then I'm going to make it shoot off in that direction. In that direction? No. You need to try to make it so that this angle in here is the same as that angle in there. Alright, so you go ahead and put that in. And then, for that matter, now that I've done this one for you, could you do this one? Or could you do this one? So it's not that much more difficult. Go ahead and put in those reflected lines, just so that I know that you know how to do it. Okay, then you're going to, you can then make a snip of this. So we're going to go back to our snipping tool, and we need to make a new one. So we're going to click on that. Okay, now we can go back over to here, can highlight this. Okay, so now we've got our new snip. Okay, so now I'm going to get rid of this, get rid of this, go back to my original lab, so get rid of this. And then it says down here to insert your snip. So you're going to put another, you can put your snip right here. Okay. Now, the next, oh, it does say to do it in green. So you can do it in whatever color that you want. Okay, so now let's go back to the lab here. I'm hoping this is easier for you than it is for me. Nope, not that. That's the snip. We don't want that. So I can actually just get rid of that now. So don't save it. Now, I'm hoping you got it pasted now. So I'm going to just get rid of it completely. And let's go back to... Okay, so now we're back to the original simulation. And now we can click on this. And there are the reflected lines for each of the blue ones. And so now you can check your work to see. Okay, now the next step is we are going to take each of those green lines and extend it behind the mirror. So if you want, you can go back to Microsoft Paint and you can do this. So you're going to need to take each of these green lines and go backwards with them. So you see this one would go off in this direction. This one would go off in this direction, and so forth. So take each of these lines and then go backwards with them. Okay, can you imagine in your head what that's going to look like? I really want you to try this on Microsoft Paint. Okay, and then you can click this one, and so there they are. So there's the lines extended behind the mirror. Now you really can't do this because you can't take your hand and put it behind the mirror. But this is, we're pretending that these light rays can go behind the mirror. Okay, now do you remember that this one and this one, where they go together, is the tip of the arrow? And then you see this red one and this red one are coming together right here. So what do you think that represents? That's going to be the tip of the image. Okay, now look at down here. Here's a blue one, and here's a blue one, and they come together at the base of the arrow. So what do you think that these two red ones represent? So they're going to be the base of the image. So then the final step is you can click this one, Show Image, and there it is. So I would not, if you are one of my students, I would not expect you to be able to do this on the test. But I would expect you to understand how we did this. So we did this using the concept of reflection and then taking the line and going backwards and then identifying where this arrow would be. Another thing, very, very important, is notice the orientation of the arrow. It's right side up. And then look at the orientation of this arrow. It's right side up. Well, duh. You know that if you look into a flat mirror that you're not upside down. Okay, another thing is look at this distance from here to here, and then look at the distance from here to here. So that's a very important observation, is where does the image appear to be in the mirror. Okay, so now let's get rid of this. And you are now in a position to complete. So you're going to take another snip and you're going to insert it here. Okay, and then you're going to put in your virtual rays. And then you're going to answer this question. How far behind the mirror is the image compared to the object in front of the mirror? Okay, so this is a good place to stop, because now we are going to learn how to cheat at miniature golf, and we will do that in our next segment.